There are many maps that I would like to cover for weird maps. And I get a lot of really good suggestions for maps. However, every now and then I'll get a request for a map that I feel doesn't meet the criteria of a weird map. The definition of what a weird map is has become somewhat loose as I've made more videos. And while the title still fits many of the maps I've covered, I would say as long as the map is interesting in some manner, be it visually or mechanically, then I would count it as a candidate. If the map has an interesting story behind its creation, then that could also count. Really at this point the series should be called Interesting Maps instead, but that's not as catchy. In general, if the map would make for a good video, then it's a weird maps video. So what would I not consider a candidate for a weird maps video? I've been thinking about this and I've narrowed it down to a few categories. 1. Very good maps that are well made, but aside from that are not weird. Every now and then I'll get a request to cover a map that's very good, but not really worthy of a weird maps video. I've been asked a few times to cover GM Fork, which is a fantastic map, but far too sensible and well made for a weird maps video. It's not that GM Fork is boring or an ugly map, it lacks that interesting visual or mechanics I would expect from a map that I'll make a video about. Unless there's some deep dark secret I'm missing. I would say the XS series of maps are on the tippy toe of what I consider a video candidate. They are visually interesting maps with interesting features to them. But if I was to make a video covering them, I feel it would be somewhat dull. Not that the XS maps are boring, far from it, but it's not being used, then it's just kind of lots of rooms. I'll work out a way to talk about these maps one day. So unfortunately, well-made, sensible maps tend to make for boring weird map videos. 2. Maps based off a map from another video game. I've had countless requests to look at Trade Clocktown. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic recreation of the world from Majora's Mask. But it's just that. Majora's Mask in the Source engine. The same applies to a lot of Mario level maps, not just Mario themed ones mind you. I guess Richter Overtime beat me to covering Mario Kart. Oh well, there's more Mario Kart to look at. Anyway, in my eyes, a map based off another map doesn't really count as a weird map. 3. Community drama or offensive content. Sometimes a map will come along with some community drama alongside it. I really would like to avoid being the person to reopen some decade-old wounds. Sadly, the Source community is a magnet for dramatic types for some reason. Then again, hang around any community long enough and you'll see some nasties. I've been needing to cover some zombie survival maps, and a few years ago was requested to cover an Objective ZS map called Eagle Quest. There's a story behind this one involving a person involved in ZS and some stuff he did, and I don't think it'll be fair on him to talk about it. I'm sure it'll make for an entertaining video, but I'll be punching down on someone using a bit of their life they probably don't want to remember. Another example would be the Gmod tower maps. This game mode was a bit like Habbo Hotel, kinda. You played mini games to win money and used said money to buy outfits and stuff for your apartment. It was really amazing to see this like running in Gary's mod. Sadly, these maps don't work without the required game mode, and one of the creators of said game mode is notorious for shutting down any attempt to bring it back, claiming it's their property. This is pretty ironic as most of the content of Gmod Tower was stuff either ported or based off something else. Obviously this created a huge stink in a few communities I was involved in, and I really don't want to be the one who brings it to the surface again. Ugh, even just talking about this drama will probably bring it to the surface, so please don't hunt down the people I haven't mentioned by name. I know saying don't do something on the internet will make people do said thing, but please, don't do it. Don't. And just before I move on, Any map themed around or mostly filled with hateful content is an instant no-go for me. Fortunately, I haven't run into this yet. Speaking of missing game modes, this is a good lead into the next point. Another reason why I can't really look at GM Tower in the right way is because I wouldn't be able to get the required game mode working, destroying a good chunk of what made Gmod Tower special. On the same note, maps that refuse to work for whatever reason are a bit of a no-go as well. A map that's been on my list to cover for a very long time is Trade Connie, but every time I try to load the map, TF2 crashes back to the menu. I've covered a few of Connie's maps before, so I don't know what it is about this one that stops it from working. I know I can get it running somehow as I've played it on a server, but loading it client side doesn't work. 5. Maps that require a skill I lack. This is the main reason I won't be covering any B-hop or surf maps anytime soon. There are plenty of these that fit into the weird maps mantra very well, but I'm average at surfing on a good day, and I couldn't B-hop even if I wanted to. Also, I guess I kinda have to go back to point 4 a bit, at least in the context of TF2. I can't seem to set up the required air accelerate option to surf properly. Or I'm kinda dumb and I can't find the right option. If it requires setting up a server just to change one option, then that's just more handfuls for me to deal with than I want. I know I could probably use CSS or CSGO instead, but some surf maps are TF2 exclusive. So in short, a weird map is any map that is not 1. A map that is just really good. 2. A map based off another video game map. 3. Connected to community drama. 4. Not able to work on a modern computer. 5. Requires a skill I lack. And I guess the last 2 can have workarounds, but overall these 5 factors are what in my eyes control what maps I pick for videos. Now, you can shame me for my lack of B-hop skills.